Texas politicians swear that they love the Constitution, which is wild because it seems to me that they keep using it as convenience store toilet paper. Remember, the Constitution was written before electricity, antibiotics, permanent political parties, winner-take-all elections, or the idea that a billionaire could buy a social media platform and intentionally destabilize democracy before breakfast. Yet somehow, we treat this 18th century document like it's a sacred artifact, not an outdated operating system running a 21st century, nuclear-armed, digitally surveilled empire. That's like trying to play Fortnite on a PS2. To be clear, I don't hate the Constitution. I hate what we've turned it into. We didn't preserve it, we froze it, laminated it, and now we wave it around like it's a magical ward against bad governance. Everybody yells about who's abusing the Constitution, but that's the wrong question. The Constitution isn't broken, it's just got massive gaps. The real problem is what the Constitution allows, and what it never imagined. Gerrymandering, constitutionally vague. Voter suppression, barely addressed. Judicial ethics, laughably optional. These aren't loopholes, they're design flaws that aged like milk. We're worshiping a blueprint instead of maintaining the house, and pretending that original intent is a Ouija board that can only be read by designated officials in black robes. When rules are vague, power consolidates. When accountability is optional, corruption gets efficient. When courts answer to no one, they start answering only to themselves. Let me see if I can translate Texas politicians' doublespeak into simpler language. Election integrity is what happens when politicians abuse a feature of a system that's terrified of accountability, allowing politicians to choose voters instead of voters choosing politicians. Judicial restraint is a collection of judges using the law as a blunt instrument with zero enforceable ethics, and the audacity to still call it checks and balances. Economic freedom is allowing industry the freedom to treat the planet like a rental car with full insurance, and pretending that physics doesn't apply as long as the quarterly projections look good. Small government means Austin micromanaging your uterus, your ballot, and your school library. Small enough to dictate your life choices to you, but large enough to cattle prod you if you dare to step out of line. And somehow, this is all sold as freedom. And if we'd all just calm down, trust the system, and pray over our tiny pocket constitutions like rosary beads, everything would work again just the way that it was originally intended to. That's not freedom. That's authoritarianism with a belt buckle the size of a trash can lid. The Constitution wasn't designed for permanent political parties, mass surveillance, climate collapse, or professional politicians who treat political office like a timeshare. Congress isn't broken, it's operating exactly as designed, for a world that no longer exists. For instance, lifetime judicial appointments made sense when people died at 55 and didn't have Fox News or Twitter whispering sweet nothings into their ears. Now, lifetime judicial appointments are so powerful they make actual monarchs green with envy. Checks and balances? That only works if the Constitution actually checks modern power. Right now, it just checks quills and parchment. We've got AI, surveillance states, climate collapse, and professional politicians who've never had a real job. And we act shocked that the 1787 user manual is failing. We've got permanent political parties playing Monopoly using house rules, holding all of the properties, houses, and hotels, while everyone else is forced to land on go to jail. And winner-take-all electoral processes that treat voter choice like a zombie apocalypse where only the first survivor to reach the bunker gets the food, the water, and the radio, and everyone else is told to just try harder next time. Meanwhile, establishment politicians continue to treat the Constitution like a choose-your-own-adventure book. Flip to the amendments you like, ignore the parts that get inconvenient, and blame the founders when it explodes in their faces like Wile E. Coyote using Acme products. Here's the part that makes people clutch their pocket Constitution pearls. The founders expected us to rewrite this. They didn't give us a holy relic or build a shrine. They gave us a prototype, a scaffolding intended to support a country that would grow and change. But any scaffolding that never gets replaced eventually becomes a death trap. This isn't about amendments anymore. It's about admitting that the existing architecture no longer works for a modern world. You don't fix this with amendments duct taped to a rotting scaffold. You fix it with clear limits on power, term limits on all federal offices, including the judiciary, real enforceable ethics, and explicit protections for voting, the environment, and individual liberty in the 21st century and beyond. Real liberty scares power. That's why they freak out over things like term limits, judicial reform, real ethics enforcement, and yes, a modern constitutional convention. Again, the founders didn't give us a holy relic, they gave us a prototype. And right now, we're trying to turbo up a Model T and wondering why it can't handle a superhighway, cyber warfare, climate collapse, and social media-driven mass hysteria. This isn't about hating the Constitution. It's about admitting that it's exhausted from trying to live up to our expectations. Expectations that it could never have expected and was never designed to handle. If the founders were alive today, they wouldn't be screaming, "Don't touch it." They'd be in your face like a Marine drill instructor screaming, "Why the hell have you waited so long, maggot?" Every empire collapses eventually. But the smart ones renovate before the roof caves in. That's not radical. That's just basic system maintenance, and it's long overdue. So here are the uncomfortable questions. If the system is clearly failing and yet both parties still benefit from that failure, why are we still pretending minor tweaks will save it? If the Constitution keeps producing the same abuses of power, at what point do we stop blaming politicians and start blaming the design? How broken does the system have to get before rewriting the Constitution stops sounding scary and starts sounding responsible? Is a 21st century Constitution really that radical? Or is worshiping a malfunctioned 18th century system the real insanity? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share this with someone who still treats the Constitution like a holy relic. And ask yourself, how broken does it have to get before we're allowed to fix it? Because liberty doesn't survive on nostalgia. It survives on design.